Hi, this is Mimi. Last night, I conducted my energy management workshop with a special focus on Mercury retrograde. And as luck would have it, my laptop took a dump. My laptop just completely shut down on its own about 5 minutes before the workshop was to begin. And it had not fully restarted in time for me to use it during the workshop because, of course, when it restarted, it started installing all of these updates. So that meant I needed to use my phone for the workshop, and I really don't like using my phone for anything that involves Zoom. And that resulted in the workshop not being recorded from the very beginning. I really was under the impression it was being recorded, but fortunately, one of the participants let me know that it was not recording, and I was able to get it going, get it recording about 10 minutes in. So the purpose of this video is to fill in the information that I covered in those first 10 minutes for the people who were not able to tune in live. And I also thought that this information would make a great standalone video talking about Mercury retrograde and mindset. And I really, truly believe, from my own personal experience and from observing people for many, many years, that so much of the bad reputation that surrounds Mercury retrograde has to do with our mindset. So much of what we think we're experiencing as a result of this little planet going retrograde is really based on how we perceive it and the attitude and energy that we bring into this situation. Now, Mercury retrograde has a very bad reputation amongst most people, partly because, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the planet that goes retrograde more often than any other planet. It generally goes retrograde every three times a year, and this year is extra special in that we will have a fourth one. So I wanted to share something that was shared with me many years ago that changed my outlook on it. And this goes back to the late 90s when I was working with my first energy and spiritual teacher. Her name was Basha. And I had asked her what her thoughts were on Mercury retrograde. And she just said, well, I just make up my mind that it's not going to affect me, and it doesn't. And I know that might sound a little airy-fairy, and that might sound maybe even a little pompous, but I took that to heart. And I found that whenever I knew Mercury was going retrograde, that when I would just set my intention and make up my mind that the retrograde was not going to affect me, it didn't. For the vast majority of the time, it did not. And maybe I was just really lucky. I mean, I'm not saying it's never affected me. It has, but much less than it used to, much less since I took that attitude. And I really believe it's about having that mindset. Now, I know there are some people who are watching this, shaking their head, going, okay, yeah, really, this chick just doesn't get it. No, I do get it. Communication can go haywire. All things mechanical, technical can go crazy. I've, been in situations, I've had jobs where the printer will start acting up or a computer will start misbehaving. And as a Reiki master, I will Reiki whatever is acting up, and the Reiki will help correct the situation. So in those instances where my mindset of Mercury retrograde not affecting me did not work out, like that situation was just going to happen. Either that person was going to misunderstand what I said or misread my email, or my phone is acting up. yes, those things are happening, but still by having that mindset of not being affected, that changes how I respond to the situations. What it does is it actually creates a situation where I'm responding instead of reacting. And when we're in reactive mode, we are not in our power. And when we are not in our power, we are not grounded. We are not in the present moment because we are just reacting. It's like, um, and that's where the craziness comes in. And then that's where we bring the crazy energy to whatever the Mercury retrograde has affected in our lives in that day. So that was a lot of what I talked about in the first 10 minutes of the workshop is really being aware of our mindset and being aware of the energy that we are bringing to a situation. Now, the reason I had decided to offer the energy management workshop in correlation with Mercury retrograde is because that workshop is all about being grounded, being in your body, and being in the present moment. And I share 4 different super easy, practical techniques that you can use any time of day in any situation. I use these techniques when I'm in the middle of a conversation with a person. They're that easy. So getting back to why I wanted to offer the workshop in tandem with Mercury being retrograde is because I really believe that if we stay grounded and we stay in our power, we are better able to handle any situation that arises. And yes, situations will arise when Mercury goes retrograde. Just because, it's what happens. That little planet goes retrograde. It governs communication. It governs anything mechanical, technical, among other things. So things will go a little haywire. So the best advice that I have for handling ourselves during the 3 times a year it goes retrograde is staying grounded, yes, staying in control of your power, of your energy, staying in your power, and also just being aware, being patient. Take the time to double and triple check things. Take the time to really contemplate the decisions you're making. Don't make rash decisions. We cannot put off our lives for three weeks. We cannot say, "Oh, I can't do that until Mercury goes direct." I mean, in 99% of cases, we cannot get away with doing that. So really, we need to be able to live our lives feeling good about what we're doing and feeling confident. So take the time to double check anything. If you're having to make a major decision, like accepting a job offer or extending a job offer, buying a car, buying a house, choosing which school to enroll your child into, any kind of major decision, even minor decisions, just give yourself some extra time to review the information and be 100% confident in your decisions. I once, years ago, when I was working as a massage therapist, I once interviewed for a job with a woman. She was an acupuncturist, and she had run a Groupon special. So that shows you how long ago this was. And her special involved massage therapy. So she needed to hire a massage therapist to do the massages. I go in for the interview. We hit it off. We got along very well. And then she brought up astrology and brought up that Mercury was going to be going retrograde in a few days. And she said to me, "I cannot afford to wait for Mercury to go direct. I need to hire somebody now because I will not hire anybody when Mercury goes retrograde. So she was basically letting me know that I needed to make the decision on whether or not I wanted to accept that job right then and there. So I did. I accepted it. And I did not take the time to think things over. Had I at least taken the night to sleep on it, I do think some red flags would have come into my awareness, and I ultimately would not have taken the job. But I did accept the job, and I started right around the time Mercury went retrograde. And guess what? I quit that job about 3.5 weeks later. She was crazy. It was one of the craziest work experiences that I have ever had. And that, I'm going to say, that goes to, the conversation, the interview, and my accepting the job happened during the period before Mercury goes retrograde, which is referred to as the shadow. And I'm kind of going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but whenever Mercury retrograde is going to affect me, it's usually in the shadow period. And that's my big reminder of like, oh, Mimi, Mercury's in the Mercury retrograde, where we're in the Mercury shadow. We're in the Mercury retrograde shadow period. So now that's my reminder to be extra diligent in doing my work, in creating my mindset, and doing my energy work that I need to do, and my magical practices to ensure that I am affected as minimally as possible, and that if I am affected, that I'm able to navigate the situations with grace and ease. So that is my take on mindset around Mercury going retrograde. This will resonate with some of you. For some of you, it might not. So I definitely welcome and encourage any questions or comments that you have. And if there's a further conversation to be had, I would love to have it. Thank you.